What effect does TikTok have on your business? I mean, we know it can be entertaining, but is it effective for marketing? Yes, but can it work for real estate agents, and how long does it take to see results? Well, today I bring in two real-life examples of TikTok creators who are successfully using it to earn income, make strategic connections, and market their business effectively. In fact, they met on TikTok. Luke Johnston, a seasoned real estate investor turned real estate agent, talks about how TikTok continues to move the needle in his business and how he used the powerful platform to meet his client and new teammate, Satirah Moore. Satirah is a TikTok pro who's grown to over 83,000 followers in just 2 short years just by talking to people about something she loves. Isn't it interesting that when we spend time on our passions, we have more stamina and see the greatest results? Listen in on these strategies, tips, and the effort and the payoff from those who took the time to learn and implement them without being afraid of China. We decided to drink some Red Bull and talk about a day in the life of real estate agents who are using their TikTok business. This is an easy hangout with Luke and Satirah from the world-famous Lister Property Partners team in Branson, Missouri. I hope you have a good time and enjoy this conversation. This is what we're talking about with our local team right now. And I asked everybody, I just took this massive bunch of AI classes in Sarasota recently, and they asked a question that I turned around and I asked you guys during one of the last sales meetings, and it was, would you use a real estate agent, or what they said was a business person that didn't know how to use the internet? It's good. Let's talk about that, because this is how you guys met.
Yeah, definitely.
And so Satirah was your client. And did you and your husband own much real estate prior to meeting Luke?
So we own a house, we own a commercial building, and then we've owned a few properties that we've taken that were just kind of yucky, but in good neighborhoods, fixed them up. You make $100,000 off of them over time. And so, yeah, we're familiar with the real estate process, but we came to Luke because we wanted to buy a short-term rental.
Well, let's talk about how you met and some of the, because I think there's a lot of magic in the marketing and in the way that you guys met. So now you have tell us a little bit about, brag on yourself, please, for a minute. Tell us a little bit about your TikTok channel and about like why you decided to launch that. And because Luke started a TikTok channel for his real estate marketing purposes, and it really launched like phenomenally well. Is that how you guys met, or was it a different way?
Yeah. So I have a channel on TikTok. It's called Satirah Loves Branson, and I show people places to, things to do, see, and eat in Branson. And so I started it because my daughter was going to the college here just outside of town, and my friends were like, "Hey, you should show us what you're doing." And we were searching for things on TikTok. We could never find anything, and I was like, yeah, I'll start a TikTok channel. And it just exploded. The next thing you know, you've got 80,000 followers. And
well, let's get some, I want to dig in a little bit to that a little bit.
Yes.
Because first of all, starting a TikTok channel, I mean, for some people, it's just, for my kids, it's like, I'm going to post a goofy picture of me rolling a ball up the couch with my foot in front of my dog, and I get like 10,000 people to view it.
Yeah.
And like I'll work my butt off to try to post quality content, and nobody watches it.
Sure.
So, what expectations did you have before you started this?
I didn't really know, but I knew that nobody was making really quality short form videos for the Branson area. So I suspected, just by looking at other areas, that had travel gurus, that it might become a thing, but I had no expectations. There was no expectation of what might actually come of this.
So tell us about the arc. So you started the channel, and then how successful did it become? How fast?
Oh man, it seems like I had 30,000 followers in 3 or 4 months.
Really?
Yeah, but then it took like a whole year to get the next, 50,000 followers.
Wow.
Yeah.
So talk to us about that commitment. Like, what was it like to start that, and like how often did you post?
I try to post a few times a week. There's some weeks that I'll post every single day. Lately, we have a family member that has cancer, so I'm not posting as much right now.
Yeah.
But I try to stay pretty consistent, and I try to always have 4 or 5 videos a week. And so I think consistency was the key there to keeping, followers engaged and to really keep on top of the algorithm. So yeah, it's definitely a commitment, but it was fun for me because it's a hobby.
Yeah.
So I loved getting to come to Branson. Of course, we're here to see our daughter, but I'm also here to go on vacation.
Yeah, there's a lot to do here. It's a great place.
And so yeah, I was here, at least 1 week a month, shooting content and just having fun. And it quickly became like a little hobby that was draining my bank account dry.
Really?
And
Talk
so,
about that.
so yeah, I mean, I hate to even tell people what I spent the last 2 years on shows, on places to stay, places to eat. I don't ask people for a handout when I go to review these places. Just because I want to have an authentic experience. Now,
Right.
sometimes somebody will reach out and be like, hey, we have a show. If you'd like to have tickets, we'd love for you to come. I always tell them it doesn't guarantee that I'm going to do something for you.
Yeah.
But sure, I'll come check it out. And if
Yeah.
it's good, but it was quickly sucking my bank account dry. And it was like, okay, what can I do to kind of capitalize on this captive audience and kind of funnel them into something that would maybe make me money to sustain what I have going on here. So short-term rentals seemed like they might be a good option or a good starting place. And I think in one of my videos, I might have mentioned that I was looking for a short-term rental.
Definitely.
And I had spoke to some different real estate agents here in town. Super nice people. Just want to say that out front, that they were super nice, but they weren't exactly meeting my needs. They weren't exactly like Luke. They weren't pointing me toward, places that I knew I would be able to rent out. Or, we spent more time talking about the show they were in than the actual real estate, different things like that. And so that's kind of how Luke and I met. He reached out to me on TikTok and he was like, hey, I think you're probably already working with somebody, but hey, I have this great resource here. You might want to read this book of Jeramie's. And so I was like, oh, okay. And so he was super nice. He really wasn't trying to steal me away. But eventually he stole me away.
Well, it's okay. I mean, as real estate agents, it's an interesting dynamic because we compete with our colleagues.
Yeah.
And we also cooperate with our colleagues. And I suppose attorneys do the same thing. There's a lot of industries that do. And we always train people that you have to work as somebody's assistant until you can earn the right to be their agent. And that was really one of the defining factors. Whenever somebody gets into the real estate business, one of the first questions that I ask them is, why do we need another real estate agent? There's like 800 of them in the market. I mean, the market's shifting. That usually ejects a lot of non-hard workers from the marketplace. The people that are committed, that are solid, full-time agents, they tend to thrive. I know this because I survived that 2008 crisis, and I watched the market go from 800 people down to like 250, and then slowly build back up. This is the best time to gather market share. So this is really the best time to get into real estate, and I won't let anybody make any excuse for not succeeding just because I've seen the lowest of the low. And I survived, and I have a theater degree. I didn't know anything about real estate when I started. So describe the process to me of getting that first vacation rental. Like, how did you find an agent? What other thoughts were going through your head? What were you searching for?
We were looking for some place that we could rent out and make money and still use it whenever we wanted.
You came to Branson.
Yeah, Branson
Okay.
was the idea. And,
Okay.
and to pinpoint a certain development was not even on our radar at all. We were looking at, houses. We were looking at anything. We had no idea. In fact, we made an offer on a place that would have never worked. Like, if we would have got it, we would have had to sell it because we could have never rented it out. I'm glad we didn't. I was kind of sad at the time, but then the process went from trying to, since I didn't have a realtor that was actually understood what I was trying to do, they kept steering me toward houses, and that's not what I needed. I needed somebody that would say, hey, this is the place that you can rent it out, and we know that because it's established vacation rental in the city of Branson. So I found that I found your book first. Very first thing I found was your book. And I'm like, this guy's in Branson. So I ordered the book on Amazon and called and made an appointment to meet you. So from there, we were, I brought my wife. We were chatting in the conference room, and Jason Yeager came out around the corner, and he was ready to help us. He was just a brand new agent at the time, too.
Yeah, Jason, and you can listen to his podcast too. He's one of the first 5 podcasts that we did. Great conversation there with a guy that was an American Idol finalist that became a rock star real estate team leader. It's interesting. Jason was very service oriented, and I remember that meeting with you guys. You very quickly jumped into another investment. Like you jumped right into most people won't invest in new construction in the city of Branson because the building codes can be somewhat challenging to deal with. They can in any town, but especially in Branson. I'm not trying to pull any punches. It's something that we have dealt with our clients. Some people choose not to invest in the city limits for that reason, but it's really not that bad. It's really not that hard. You just need an agent or an advocate that can help you through that process. But what's fascinating about you and Aaron is that you guys didn't have that. And you jumped in feet first in building a short-term rental right in the city. You just bought the land, and then you built it.
Right, yeah. So we bought 13 acres, and we knew that we couldn't just buy any 13 acres. It had to be zoned correctly. And so we kept our condo for a year, and I ended up selling it to my uncle and as a turnkey business. And he kept it for a while and then sold it. That same condo that I paid $110,000 for sold last year at $495.
Wow.
And that's just in a matter of, I guess, five years. It's crazy.
Wow.
But it really did change our lives. So we bought that 13 acres, and then we, sketched out on a piece of paper, this is what we want to build, and we built it. But it was a process. There's a lot that goes into that. So
talk about it a little bit.
Well, you definitely need fire sprinklers. What I actually found out was the best people to hire are the people that are going to Sunday school with the guy that's going to approve your plans.
And the city clerk.
Definitely. Yeah. So, and in our town especially, it seems that way where you really want to have, they want to see the same people in there that they're doing business with all the time. So you want to hire the contractors that they know and trust are going to do exactly what they want done.
There's a trust factor there. There's a peace of mind that comes with doing business with somebody who how they're going to do business. So yeah, attorneys are the same way, I found, especially if you're trying to get a certain zoning request. There are certain attorneys that they're afraid of, certain ones that they like to deal with, and certain ones that they're just not. And what's funny about Branson and Taney County, just in general, and Stone County too, is that it's very tribal. And it's also, I'm not trying to be belittling to these rural counties because it's the same in New York City. Like when I talk to real estate agents and investors in New York City, it's the same way. There's a good old boy network there. So it's humans. It's just human behavior to be that way. But it's not human behavior, Luke, to jump into a project this large. So you guys have cojones of steel. You know what I mean? You truly do. And I admire that about you. And I think anybody listening should follow you because you've got great ideas, you've made them work, and you're continuing to evolve in a really cool way because you came back a few years later, back in the same conference room, and you're like, okay, I want to quit my full-time job. I want to be a real estate agent.
Yeah, that's true.
So how did that happen?
That was pretty wild. So the railroad, I worked for them for 10 years, and it's a great job, high paying, and not a lot's expected of me. But at the end of the day, it's not a very satisfying job. And so I was just ready to do something different. And I started researching, okay, what do I got to do? Actually, 2007, I took my real estate classes, and I never actually took the test to become, certified completely or something. So I remembered a lot of the same questions from, a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And went in 5 weeks during my full-time job only, I got my real estate license just studying at work.
And you jumped in, especially in a crazy time, it wasn't easy at first, was it?
No, not at all. In fact, at the time I jumped in, everybody had a deal, whether you were good at real estate or not. And I remember everybody, talking about how busy they were, and I didn't have a clue what was going on. So I was just trying to soak up what I could from everybody. And once the deals kind of slowed down, that's whenever I kind of picked up a little bit. And it was exciting.
Like you guys, I wanted to serve my clients. One of the things that I love about what you just said is that it seems like your TikTok channel was started as a way to serve people because it didn't exist. Mm-hmm. And you combine that with your passion And you're doing that again now with real
Sure.
estate. And I want to
Yeah.
talk about that in just a minute. But what's cool is that you funded it yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You didn't ask for handouts. You're like, hey, I'm going to honestly go in and review this place.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that Lisa, who's your team lead, and Lisa she was also on one of our podcasts, Lisa and Matt. You can go listen to their story. They moved from England to the United States and quickly became very phenomenal real estate investors and agents. So they've got a great story. Very inspirational people. So you can go listen to that podcast as well. But she told me when she first met you that, yeah, we just went to lunch and we're having this meeting about, her joining my real estate team. And like 5 people walked up and were like, oh, are you Satirah from Satirah Loves Branson?
It's true, yeah.
And so the impact that you've had and the service that you've provided is helping people. It is having a positive effect. And so that's very special. And I think a lot of people, they just see influencers on TikTok or on Instagram and they don't realize the work that it actually takes and how long you have to endure putting out content before someone actually receives it, or before, like you said, those algorithms pick it up.
Yeah.
You're definitely a giver, like 100%. That's how you've gotten to that amount. It's not a bunch of take. It's all gives.
Did you have the same experience on TikTok when like starting? You're like, oh my gosh, I'm putting this out there, and
Yeah, and it does. It drains you. I mean, I know if you do a few times a week, it's probably better. But if you're trying to do something every day, it'll literally just like drain you. Like I don't want to post anything today, but you got to stay after it. You got to, if you're gonna keep providing value for people to keep watching your stuff. And it's, for me, it's a lot of brand awareness. And I've had a lot of people just approach me. I don't have 80,000 people by any means, but I'm working towards it.
Yeah,
right?
you will one day.
Yeah, I have had clients that are straight out of TikTok. And
Yeah.
it's great. So it's been working good for me. And that whenever I had the downtime from being brand new and seeing all these people going crazy, I thought, well, what can I be doing right now to draw people? And that's kind of why I started doing video.
Yeah.
what I like about your style, Luke, is that it's consistent. It's the perfect example of like consistency winning the race, because you're in your car, you're posting about some bit of nugget that you learned or that you feel like other people should know. You are serving your client, and so what's cool about it is that it became instantly recognizable. It's like, oh, here's Luke in his car. Oh, what's this wisdom? Oh, this is a funny one. Oh, his kid's in this one. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
So how do you guys come up with your ideas for what to post?
Well, I literally, it would just be something that happened that day, or some days I'll get this feeling and be able to slam a bunch of them out in one day. But a lot of times, if they come to me, I will write them down and keep them for later and pull that book out and start going through them. But there's other ways to do it now.
There are, with AI.
AI, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
I have started asking AI to help me come up with some things here recently, and it's been kind of it's stuff that I would have come up with, but the prompts I put in, like tell me about vacation rentals with the down market, or whatever, and it changes the whole.
It really does. If I'm stuck on something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've made a Mexican restaurant video 50 million times and I don't want to use the same words and I don't want to, I'll go to AI and I'll be like, hey, okay, tell me about this place. And they may have more descriptive words or they might say things differently. And I'm like, okay, so I take little pieces of this here and there and put it together.
And I asked my parents the same thing, because they're like, oh, I just don't really, we were talking about ChatGPT, and they're like, I just can't really get into it. And I'm like, you need to get into it. Like, you absolutely have to get into it, especially real estate agents, especially entrepreneurs, especially real estate investors, especially people that want to get better at social media. And social media, frankly, is the same way as AI. It's the way that our customers communicate with the world now. And we can go sit by a campfire and forget about the world and hunt squirrels all day, but unless people are buying squirrel meat, you're just not going to have a lot of business, right? You guys are on the cutting edge, whether you know it or not, and you are succeeding at it.
It's like in the 90s, you had to figure out how to do emails, how to word perfect, all of those things. It's what you needed in the 90s to be relevant, and now it's how to use AI.
Yeah. So you decided to buy a condo or
Yes.
buy an investment in Branson. So tell us about that meeting and maybe some of that. He gave you a book,
Mm-hmm.
and then what happened?
So he had sent me a book, and I was like, oh, this guy's nice. I was trying to work with another real estate agent in town. And every time I would text this guy, he thought I was like a robot, and he would send back, stop. And he kept emailing me all of these properties. Yeah. And then he would email me these properties that I couldn't use for short-term vacation rental. And I was ready to pull out my hair. And I was like, I had sent you a question one day because I wasn't getting an answer out of my other guy.
You asked me about lenders.
Yeah, I said,
Yeah.
do you use any lenders that you like? And he sent me a thing. And I was just like, this guy, knows I'm working with somebody else and is being kind enough to help me out. Why am I working with this other guy who's just not meeting my needs? So I was like, hey, Luke, let's go look at some properties. I'm going to be in town whatever week. Let's go do this. And so we did. And then Luke was my guy. Yeah.
Awesome. And I remember it wasn't necessarily an easy transaction either. I
that's
remember
true.
because I was kind of kept abreast of the situation and advised from time to time, and you've got a crash course. And I really think that every real estate agent needs to at some point buy real estate and at some point sell their personal home.
Yes.
Because this happened to Kelly and I not too long ago. Well, it was about 7 years ago, but what happened is this was the home that we brought all of our babies home to.
Mm-hmm.
I cleaned up pink flavored puke off of the carpet. I can't. I don't know how many times I did.
What flavor is pink puke?
I really don't know. It's got to be like some
Bubble gum?
penicillin maybe
Okay.
from and flavored liquid antibiotics that just didn't stay down for whatever reason. And I remember, this is how it is with children. Kelly, it was such an incredibly crazy week that week, and here we are, Kelly and I, up at 3 a.m., and I'm just cleaning up an exorbitant amount of fluid that just came out of a tiny human. And I'm laughing hysterically because it's that or, just passing out.
Yeah.
Those are the experiences, all the joy and all of that balled up into this house that we decided to sell because this is the cool thing about real estate. It's a need-based asset class, so we had more humans in our home. We ran out of room. Somebody keeps bringing home cats and dogs, right? So we needed a bigger space. I'll never forget, how sad it was, how emotional I was when we sold that home. And I think sometimes for us, it gets a little bit routine, kind of like the dentist. It's like, whoa, bro, that's my mouth. Be careful. And they're just like, yeah, I'm just going to get in there. We forget how emotions are attached to a real estate purchase or sale, which makes it really difficult. And it's actually how we bond with our clients. And it's in fact why you'll never be able to replace a real estate agent with AI, because you're always going to need that local expert. And everybody, all these tech people, they're out of touch with their emotions, and they're out of touch with what it actually takes to guide somebody through a process. And so let's talk a little bit about some of the things that happened there. Do you want to?
Yeah. So the first property that I put an offer in, Luke had made the offer. He called the agent. We thought it was all good. And at the last minute, the buyer or the sellers pulled it off the table. And I was heartbroken.
They said they didn't want to sell.
Yeah. Yeah. They were selling it because they were going to invest in something else, and then that investment fell through.
And it was a good offer. It was
Yeah.
Maybe at or above
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
It was gonna happen.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I offered full price. I wanted this condo so bad. Still to this day,
It's the one that got away. Yeah.
it is the one that got away.
It'll come back. It'll come back.
Well, it did come back, but then
Yeah.
I was busy with another one.
Yeah, that's true. That's
So,
true.
so that was kind of a bummer. So then we had to go looking for more, and I'm kind of a perfectionist. I need it to be perfect, and I'm picky. And so Luke was probably like, "Oh my gosh, we have to go look at all these condos again."
What have I got myself into? Yeah.
No,
And
not at
so, so then we found another one. We made the offer. Everything was good, and then we're at the final line where almost to the finish line where it's going to go to underwriting, and everything went to hell in a handbasket. And so
We had some trouble with the HOA not getting us their documents back, and then the lender really just dragging their feet and kept asking for more and more and more.
And then I went to Hawaii for 2 weeks.
It's
They
hard.
were gonna send the papers to
To Hawaii.
to get them signed. Though.
Yeah.
I guess that was
Yeah.
part of it. It didn't happen though, right?
There's a
No.
lot to coordinate there, and and when you have a buyer's agent and a seller's agent, there's a layer of protection for both parties, but there's also a communication layer too.
And you were talking about the emotions. So I was just having this conversation with Lisa today. Like, there were so many times where my husband was like, forget it, we're not buying this. He was ready to walk away, throw
yeah.
in the towel. And Luke was like, dude, we are almost to the finish line. It's going to be okay. He was really good about about listening to my husband and then talking him off the ledge. And so I was so grateful for that. So grateful for that.
Well, in the sellers too were ready to pull it over
Yeah.
and over and over. Would
Yeah.
give us a deadline, and we were gonna make it happen, and it didn't happen for one reason or another. And so I felt like every day I was having to go back to this agent.
And then you're going to the
hey, I'm not making excuses, but this is what I've been told today. you
And
know?
then he's going to the HOA with donuts. Like, hey,
Can I get this filled out
can I
right
get
now?
this
Like
form?
immediately.
I mean, here's some parlor donuts.
They're
Can
like,
we work
Yeah.
this out?
we don't take bribes, but we like donuts.
Yeah.
you know.
Sometimes it takes that.
Yeah.
Like one time I had this old school agent when I first started. And when I first started, I was 30 years old, and the average age of the real estate agent was like 65. This gal, she knew how to handle people. Like I was representing the buyer, and they pulled out of the deal during their contingency period. There was something about the property that the contract was contingent on, and they had every right to pull out. But emotions happened, and the seller's like, well, I'm not giving them their money back. Well, you are contractually obligated to give them their money back. They still wouldn't. She brought over some hot cinnamon rolls and just chatted with them for a little while. And then she's like, we can sit here and we can have cinnamon rolls, or this can become a legal
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
Which would you prefer? I think I'll dip them in some milk and sign my name. And it's just funny how you can really get a lot done by building those relationships, which is why I think it's really important for us to build relationships with our colleagues. In fact, what I used to do is there's another real estate firm in town, and they actually had the idea, and they said, let's just go to lunch with one of our colleagues, like once a week, and get to know people on a personal level. And that helps when things, when everything hits the fan.
Sure.
It's like, hey, let's kind of work for our clients here, and
He's
let's
not the enemy. He's our friend. What
Yeah.
can we do to help this along?
Yeah, but Springfield, Missouri agents are jerks. I mean, for the most part, they are absolute. They think they're attorneys. They don't kind of. And this has just been my experience. So if you're a kind, passionate, caring Springfield agent, we want to hear from you. We want to know that. We just don't hear from you. We do
wanna
business
work
with
with
all the
you, yeah.
we do
Yeah.
want to work with you.
Yeah.
But in my experience, like they feel like they are, they're like trying to represent. They're attorneys.
Yeah.
Like now we're not attorneys.
I had a transaction with a Springfield realtor that she, we were going to lose the contract over $600. And I said, I'll take $300 off my commission and you take $300 off your commission and we'll get this thing settled. And she said, I don't take discounts on my commission. And I'm like, well, it doesn't sound like you're putting your, client's expectations above your own. They've already spent the money to have the, the inspections and all the process happen. And she was ready to kill the deal to not take home $300.
Never would negotiate my commission with the seller up front was because sometimes when it comes to negotiations, everybody has a line they're not willing to cross. And I always, as an agent, if the deal was $50,000 apart, I could always kind of massage that into place. But there's sometimes when you can't. Sometimes it comes down to $600, and that's when you need to have the freedom to be able to negotiate and say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna pay for this out of my business expenses. And in fact, that's what I think a lot of people don't realize, especially when everything's in the news right now about realtors making too much money and yada yada. I think realtors have been the image of real estate agents has been poorly managed over the years. And I just recorded this in another podcast because everybody's talking about it right now. And if you're listening to this and you have an opinion, it falls under the category of don't judge a man until you've walked a mile in his shoes. What's interesting to me is that you guys were both real estate investors that became real estate agents, and your overall awareness of the transaction level has probably skyrocketed.
Sure.
You realize how much work that goes into serving your clients. Now, there are real estate agents, like you described out there, that just don't.
Sure.
They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know what they don't know, but there's many that do.
Sure.
And I think those are the ones that are truly going to survive. I don't think this is about how much money we earn. I think it's about how much relationship capital we have with our clients and how much service we provide, because you're always willing to pay for somebody that's going to represent you. And honestly, I hope the ones that are jerks leave the business.
Sure.
Because it makes it harder for the rest of us when you're just trying to get an HOA document signed, or you're trying to manage somebody's expectations on a timeline. And your client has to either exit the contract because the deadline is approaching tomorrow, or decide to go ahead and perform on the contract knowing that their earnest money is at risk, because the other agent won't get back to you. They won't answer your call. So it's up to the investor to say, well, I have to cancel this contract now because my earnest money is not protected. Or you've had a conversation as a buyer's agent with your investor and said, hey, this is the situation we're in. We're not going to hear back from this person by tonight. Here's the risks if you move forward. How can I advise you at this point? Our jobs as real estate agents, I think, is to explain the situation and then let that person decide how they want to proceed. We and good real estate agents have been in the mix, and it was always really interesting for me to talk to our clients and say, okay, this is when you need to worry. Like, I'll let you know when you need to worry. Like, I've never been in this situation before, but we're going to figure it out. Or I've been in this situation 50 times before. This is most likely what's going to happen.
Sure.
That's the situation you guys are in now. And so talk to me now about, Satirah, your journey into deciding to become a real estate agent, because you have this marketing channel. Did you expect it to be a marketing channel? What was your hope with your TikTok channel?
I just wanted to show people things to do in Branson, what I was doing when I was up here, and that it's not the. A lot of people think that Branson is just Vegas for old people and Christians, and that it's all fogies that are here. I wanted to show people it was more than just corny country shows.
What is it? Talk to us about what you.
Sure. I mean,
discovered.
We have margarita flights, and we have, Silver Dollar City, and, you can look at the Christmas lights on a golf cart in the middle of the country, there's all these incredible things to do.
It's
here.
like a fishing mecca, right?
Yeah, surrounded by 3 of the most beautiful lakes you will ever see. I mean, there is just so much to do here. Well, we have like 11 million people who came here last year.
Yeah.
There's a reason. There's just something for everybody. And if you like the corny country shows, we have those too.
Yeah.
And they're great. There's nothing wrong with them. But there's just so much to do here. And I just wanted to show people that. And then as it progressed, it became meeting business owners and seeing what I could do for their business. I can't tell you how many people that I did a video for, and then they're like, oh my gosh, this exploded and this was totally insane. And I had 800 orders, off of your video, and so that's always a really good feeling to know that I'm not just helping the people who are coming here on vacation, I'm helping the small business owners as well.
Let me ask you this. When you watch a TV show on Netflix, or when you're searching through Netflix, how often do you look at the reviews? Or do you pretty much know what you want to watch?
I look at the reviews pretty often. I want to know, what other people are saying before what my wife prefers to pick. I would definitely check the reviews.
Yeah.
It's the same on Amazon too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are totally dependent on each other, aren't we?
Yeah.
And I think what you discovered is this review marketing is huge right now. And so what are your plans to do with this channel as you enter the real estate business? Are you going to keep it Branson business focused?
Yeah, this channel will always be about Branson businesses and showing people things to do, see, and eat in Branson. That will never change. Now, I might throw in, hey, this is what I do. And in my weekly, sometimes I'll do a video that shows what I did this week in Branson. And I might show look at this house that I was showing. Look at the view, I might throw things like that in there.
Yeah.
But I don't ever want to change the current social media channel that I have from what it is now. will I probably start a second social media channel to kind of channel some real estate stuff and show people houses and talk about real estate? Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Satirah loves Branson real estate, maybe.
Yeah,
Something like
Satirah
that.
loves real estate.
Satirah loves real estate.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
because
good.
now with your you could grow your team pretty
Yeah.
much anywhere
Yeah.
around the country, and that's pretty phenomenal too.
Yeah.
You could teach all of the people in your
That's-
organization the way of the
Yeah.
TikTok.
So for many years, I homeschooled my kids, and then I taught at co-ops and did different stuff there. And so yeah, it's just natural for me to show people.
You've taught me stuff on
Oh, yeah.
TikTok. Like, hey,
Yeah.
scrub that image off there. Nobody
Nobody
on
wants to
Facebook
see
needs
that,
to see
and it's
TikTok.
Facebook is not going to pick you up if you do that. Like, yeah, and so totally. I will never be the person who gateholds the recipe for the secret sauce. That's just not who I am. I can't keep a secret to save my life. Don't ever tell me. Don't ever tell me valuable information that's a secret. So yeah, I do definitely think that that I'll be moving forward, teaching and doing stuff like that as well.
Seems like it would totally fit you. It seems like you love it.
Yeah.
Even we were just talking upstairs about you're going through our contract training process, and like you seem to be very engaged in that, and not challenging, but like asking questions and like wanting to like you said you were on page 9 when they were on page 2.
Yeah.
So your thought process is already there. So that's just a sign of a super intelligent person. Somebody who's already anticipating what's next. So that's cool. So then what are your plans? Or let's talk about this. What are some major ahas that you've had now switching over from, and Luke, you contribute to this too. So I'm starting this discussion for this reason, because a lot of my agents will come back to me and say, okay, well, I just lost a great client because they got a real estate license. And I'm like, congratulations, that's what happens. A lot of real estate investors get a real estate license, one, because they want to save some bucks and they want to just do it themselves. Two, because they love real estate so much, they want to put the other foot in real estate and be in it all the time. It doesn't surprise me that you guys both became real estate agents. So what are some ahas that you've had as you transition from investor to agent that maybe you didn't realize?
Well, I think for me, the first big aha was that I wanted to do this in the first place. My grandmother, on my stepdad's side, she was a real estate agent. So I grew up watching her sell real estate, and I always thought it was cool. And there was a time back in the day that I thought that I could sell real estate. But then I always tease people and said that I want to work at Silver Dollar City when I grow up, until I met Luke and Lisa. And I remember the day I called you, Lisa had showed me the condo in
I was
Point Royale.
out of town. I was on vacation writing contracts.
And so he was out of town, but he was writing the contract, and Lisa was going to let me into the condo to show me. I was on a girls' trip, so I brought like my whole entourage of people to look at this condo. And I remember I left there, and Luke had said something to me before. He's like, you should sell real estate. And then Lisa was like, you should come be on our team. And I called Luke, and I was like, I want to work with Lisa when I grow up. I want to work with you guys when I grow up
And
now.
I said,
like,
come on,
and
let's
he was
go,
like,
let's
let's
go.
do this.
Yeah.
And so that was the first aha, was that if I'm going to work, I was trying to move to Branson full time. I was totally burnt out in the career that I was doing. And so I was like, I could do this. I could do this. I could help people. Everything about this is in my wheelhouse. I like buying properties. I like helping people. This just makes sense. So that was the first aha for me, was that this is
Natural
something I
fit.
could do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, going back to like Lisa, but part of the reason I was attracted to her team is because she will spend as much attention on a $40,000 lot as she will a $4 million estate, and she's doing that right now today, and that's just like, wow, I want to be that person when I grow up, and that's kind of what you saw there, and it's just
well,
great.
and so many real estate agents are like, they're keeping all their secrets and don't tell the other team what we're up to. Lisa is an open book. You can ask her anything. She doesn't mind sharing. I mean, even today, there was she was helping out with new agent training, and she was, telling the new agent, like, oh, if you have any questions, just come ask any of us. We'll help you. That is very unique to this office. I don't see that in real estate. There is a lot of competition that is just cutthroat. I don't see that here. This is truly a family. Everybody's willing to help everybody. You're not going to let anybody drown. Like, this is really special. And so that was another aha moment for me, was that this is not your typical, brokerage.
Well, thank you. I always said that if I ever had a chance to lead a team in real estate, I would never let anybody go through what I experienced, which was this uphill battle of having to learn everything on my own. And I'm still doing it. I mean, everything that I'm learning about getting private equity funds and about real estate development, I'm right now developing a 56-unit real estate short-term rental development in Branson, right on the lake. I bought 20 acres, and I watched real estate developers for years take advantage of buyers, especially in hot markets. And basically what that means is, for the past 4 years, especially in the short-term rental business, there was no inventory. I mean, we have an inventory shortage nationwide, just
Sure.
housing. But especially there was no short-term rental inventory because people didn't know really what it was or why they should build it. So it was always hard for us to find properties. Like, we would have to go find properties that were residential properties in short-term rental zoned areas and
That
actually
we could
create
turn
them. Yeah.
into-
So we got really good at that, which actually served our business and served our ability as leaders to train new agents coming in. But that was a need. It was a need-based thing. New construction, having to learn how to write deals on new construction and negotiate contracts in new construction and have the buyer handle the construction loan. There were times where builders were so emboldened by the number of buyers that if a buyer wanted a change on a real estate contract, it was like, nope, fine, we'll find someone else that'll come in and buy it. So these buyers had to sign some of the most predatory, seller protective contracts because it's what they had to do. And we were able to help them to say, like, look, you've got to not agree to this line, or maybe we can get something changed a little bit. We would fight for our clients as much as we could. But back in those days, which was really only a year or two ago, it's what buyers had to do. And so the experience that buyers had buying new construction wasn't really that great. But of course, once the property was built, then all the reasons why they wanted a short-term rental kicked in, and they were able to customize the property, put their own spin on it, add some wow factor to it. And this is the reason why we get into the vacation rental business. We watched a lot of developers mistreat their clients, because they're our clients too as real estate agents, but when you hire a builder to build you a property, that's your client too. And I never really appreciated people who jumped into the business, and because there was so much business, they would just take one lead and grab the next and grab the next, and they didn't really care how they treated their people. They just wanted to get to the next deal. So I started a real estate development because I wanted buyers to have a positive experience. And then I changed my mind, and I'm like, I don't want to work with 56 build jobs all at once. I would rather do something else. I would rather keep them and have it be a lower impact on the surroundings. I wanted to keep more trees. I wanted to do things that builders weren't doing, and preserve the natural landscape, be a good steward of the land, build a beautiful chapel on the land so that there was this amenity where people could come together, families could come together and have reunions or weddings or something, or birthday parties. Put a nice catering kitchen in the bottom, and create some nice water features, and give people the ability to walk down to the lake and go fishing with their kids right there in the development, so that when they're on vacation, they don't feel like they have to run into town if they don't want to.
Yeah.
And so I've learned the hard way on all of these things. And I like to think that I'm like this stern professional businessman, but I'm really just a compassionate guy who feels for people, and I don't want people to have to experience pain. In fact, the reason why I started my entertainer journey years ago, my previous life, I was an entertainer. That's how I ended up in Branson. I just wanted people to experience joy. I just wanted to make them laugh. And that was instant gratification for me. Like, if you laugh, I know that you're experiencing joy. And that's why I love Yakov Smirnoff, because he's got that same philosophy. And there's another podcast you can listen to right there. I'm not trying to plug my podcast, but this podcast is about the things that I love and the people who I find incredibly interesting. So thank you for saying all the things that you said, because that's my life's mission, is to truly come alongside people and not let them fail at what they've decided to do. If you tell me that you are going to succeed at this, I'll believe in you. I'll believe what you tell me, so be careful what you tell me.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that next. What is next for you guys? What is it what unsurmountable, you are actually remodeling a massive property right
A
now.
massive property. Yeah, it's a 7,000 square foot. It's going to be 11 bedrooms when we're finished, and I think we're on the home stretch of getting it finished. But we've taken a Branson West commercial property and turned it into a really cool vacation rental.
So talk to me about that process. Like what ahas did you learn along that process that you would coach people on?
Well,
advise
I
somebody?
would say definitely get multiple bids for your project because they're drastic, and you want to know local knowledge of, like we talked a little bit earlier about, the people that are doing the work or who they like to see, and that's the same way over here in Branson West.
So you're saying maybe budget for contingencies, like what percent would you budget? Because it seems like when you started tearing into those walls, it seems like, we found
definitely.
this.
Yeah, we had lots of wow moments on that. There was structural drywall, which my contractor said he'd never seen anything like it before.
Structural drywall.
Yeah, like that's holding up the house. There was the place was built in '86 and had no wrap on the outside of it, so it was just whatever siding was on it was the protecting. It was several things. There was a lot of wood rot, and at one point we had to get a new structural engineer out there to make sure the whole place wasn't going to collapse. But
Wow.
it's all good now. Like we're through the tough stuff and got it all approved, and now it's just the home stretch of fire sprinklers and all the finishes.
So what else would you say is a nugget? Like, hey, I've got definitely do this or definitely don't do this. So we've talked about budget for contingencies. We talked about using contractors that are familiar with that city's code and have relationship equity with people who make decisions. What else? How did you design this? Did you have somebody help you? Did you do it yourself?
We really did it ourselves, and I say me and my wife. Like my wife, it's funny because the first project, Woodlands Lodge, it was all my brain that came up with that plan. But this one, my wife's gone through and said this is where we're going to put walls and take walls out, and she's worked really closely with Matt Lister, who's been on this podcast as well, and he's done a great job for us.
She got the bug.
Yeah, and it's funny because we have taken on different roles through both, but I think in the future it's going to be like you were talking about your development. That's what I want. I want to develop out property that is needed in Branson. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet, but
that's a goal for you.
Definitely a goal.
To take a piece of land, do something special with it.
Yeah,
and
create inventory.
Yeah.
For the people that need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like hospitality inventory, or
maybe it's affordable housing. I'm not sure. For the land around Woodlands Lodge, I'm gonna do more, and I'm thinking like something really crazy out there that nobody else is doing. This idea is, and I haven't put it out at all public, but it's a 1-bedroom with an indoor pool.
a 1-bedroom with an indoor pool.
What do you think? Is it possible?
So who would use
is it gonna be
that?
year round rented? What do you think?
A higher clientele. The same, the people who are renting out the grotto right now. Just an elevated experience. People who are coming for their anniversary. It's my 20th anniversary. I want to stay at somewhere. It's my honeymoon. That's who you're going to market to.
I want it to be super high end, but I don't want it to be big. I don't want it to be ridiculous. Maybe I just had this thought, maybe have the grand piano, but that's pretty out there.
Yeah.
Like nobody has that.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's like a heart-shaped hot tub, right?
Well,
Yeah.
not exactly. That's what they were trying to do in Branson, right? You see those rooms with the heart-shaped hot tub still in them. There's still some in Branson like that, but this is like that on steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is classy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is a place that does this that I somehow came across, and I thought, well, nobody's doing that here, and I don't think anybody has the guts to. So.
What if we just did an indoor pool and the whole thing was a pool?
So
Waterbed, you sleep on rafts. You swim up to the kitchen, make yourself some eggs.
So Woodlands Lodge is 8 bedrooms, and what I actually thought was if you had, a lazy river around Woodlands Lodge that was still indoor, like an indoor. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like it's out there, but nobody else has got it, right? Like I don't know what it is.
But think about when when you're on Facebook or wherever and VRBO puts out an advertisement, it's always the extreme houses, the experiences.
The cave.
That's,
you know.
yes, in Arkansas, that cave, that's what sells. And so if you could come up with something that is beyond cool that nobody else is doing, I think
Most
it's
people
gold
don't
mine.
have the guts to do that.
Yeah.
Though. Like they don't. Like
Yeah.
we're just gonna buy this because it's an easy turnkey,
Yeah.
ready to go.
Yeah.
But I think that would.
You
stay
were talking
rare,
about having
you know?
cojones earlier. You have to, if you're going to go somewhere in life, I think you have to be bold.
Fortune favors the bold,
Yes.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you do. You have to take risks to be able to get what you want. I mean, you guys took risks by becoming real estate investors.
Go big or go home.
That's right.
Exactly.
You've got this.
Yeah, you took risks by deciding to leave your income and become real estate
Yeah.
agents, and that's kind of the ladder. You guys did it in a different order. Most people become real estate agents first and then become investors,
Yeah.
but you guys decided to go the investment route first, which is a compliment. You guys had great experiences with your agents, so you decided, I want to be a part of this.
Yep.
So how about for you, Satirah? What do you want out of your real estate career, or what's next for you? What's the journey here?
I think as far as what's next, I think I'm still trying to baby step into this. I had this idea that I was just going to come out of the gate, hair on fire, going Mach 10. And then I had a family member that got sick. And I feel like God just kind of took my feet out from underneath me and said, slow down. We need to wait a minute. And so...
Yeah, we're going to force margin into your life
Yes.
for a minute because that's what's needed.
And it really was. I mean, and so that's been a hard pill to swallow because that's not it's not my style to go slowly into something. So I feel like I'm still at step one. I'm still very brand new to this. I'm still just putting my toes in the water. But when I get around people like Luke who have all these grand ideas, I think you texted me one time and you were like, Josh is going to be in trouble because you're working with people like me and Lisa who, have all these ideas. He's going to have to rein you in. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
I can be that person who dreams big. I'm the person who can walk into a house and immediately know, like, okay, I need to knock out that wall and I need to do this and I need to move this over here and we need to,
I was meeting with some clients one time, and I had an appointment at 10 o'clock. I was meeting with them at 9 to look at this condo at Point Royale, meeting Satirah at 10. They were taking too long trying to figure out how they were going to rearrange this place, and I thought, what am I going to do? Well, it turned out, I was like, hey, I have a client that's really good at exactly what you're asking me to do. Is it okay if she comes over here and just kind of explains where your furniture should go? And they were like, yeah, well, now you guys are friends. You guys are talking online.
Yeah.
And
Great instincts. Seriously, we're really just a network of people, right? And collaboration is where we find the better ideas. I've always thought that, the sum of the parts is what is it? The sum of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Yeah.
And so we're better together.
exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
And we're definitely better. Our team is definitely better that you guys are here. And so thank you for choosing our team. Thank you for being willing to share your knowledge. And where can people go to watch your channels?
You can find me online at Satirah Loves Branson. I am on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, sometimes YouTube.
Yeah, I'm on all the same places. Luke, Johnston, Invest in Vacations. That'll get you there.
Awesome. And then we'll put your contact info if you're willing so people can reach out to you guys to buy some real estate
Sure.
in the area.
sure, yeah.
Or become a real estate agent. Or just
Absolutely.
get some general advice. So thanks so much for being willing to share your secrets and for being open and authentic. And in your current situation, Satirah, I think that's the benefit of choosing a career like a real estate agent, like a real estate agent, is that, a lot of people come into the business and they say, oh, I want to do it for freedom. But really, the first 2 years as an agent, you don't have any freedom. I mean,
No.
think about any business that you grow. It requires all of your time for the first 24 months, and you have to earn the right to take a day off. And a lot of people don't realize that realtors do work 7 days a week. I'm going to continue to advocate for real estate agents because I'm in the trenches with real estate agents all the time. And I just want people to know that I know so many really good real estate agents that truly serve their clients. No matter what happens to this industry, that's what we're going to continue to do. That's what you guys are going to continue to do. So let's go do it. Well, a big thank you for listening to the end of our podcast. I know your time is valuable. And I hope you got a few takeaways that are going to help you get a greater return on that time. I know you will. And if you did enjoy it, I'd sure appreciate a share or a comment. Feel free to subscribe for instant access to new episodes and offers. There's also a ton of free content and ways to learn more and engage more at WorleyRealEstateNetwork.com. Until then, we'll continue to bring you recipes for success and real stories from real people who, like you, are living out your divine purpose. And hey, God loves you. No matter what happens, don't give up.